First thing I need to do here is make a little bit more of my cleaning soap. So I hope you can hear me over this water. What I like to do to make soap, when it gets low, it's down to like here. So I've got it up to about here with warm water. This isn't the Castile soap I like to use for cleaning, but it's the only Castile soap I've got right now. This is the baby Castile soap, which is what I use to make the boys' foaming bath soap. Which, if you want to see a video on that, let me know and I can make a video about that. But it's what I've got right now, so that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to start by wiping off the bar with that, but first I'm going to run and put this away. We've been using this little high chair contraption that hangs off of the island. It's really great. You can also take it to restaurants, and it's really great for restaurants. Finley just turned well, he's about to turn a year old in like 2 days. But he finally can climb out of this. So there is straps, and we've got the straps tightened to basically as tight as they can go around him, and somehow he can still wiggle his knee out of it. And we've caught him a couple times, like when we were right next to him when he did it, but climbing up onto the island, which is terrifying. So after he did that twice, we got the straps as tight as they can go around him, and he still somehow is getting his knee loose to do that. We decided it was just time for that little high chair to not be used anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that down. It's been up for a while, so it's a little bit yucky. It's a clean towel under where it was. So I'm gonna give my soap a mix. This is some leftover cornbread from the other night. I made chili. I accidentally made vegetarian chili because I would have sworn I had I would have sworn I had a pound of ground beef in my fridge, and I did not. But I was committed to chili at that point, so we had vegetarian chili. I did just yesterday. I pulled all this stuff along the back of my island here forward and wiped underneath that really well, so I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to skip that step and just kind of wipe the front. Little spurtle my husband made for me. Wash that. Move this over here. We'll do these dishes here in just a second. So my husband brings in eggs. Our egg system is that because we sell eggs, and I want the dirtiest eggs to stay with us and the cleanest eggs to be the eggs that we sell. So when he comes in, he puts the eggs in these bowls here, and then I take them out when those bowls get full and put the clean ones here in egg cartons that we'll sell, and then the dirty ones go over there and they get washed and then put in the fridge. I made some popcorn for the boys earlier, so they didn't eat it all, but I know they will. I just give them the chance, so I'm just going to set that aside because they'll eat it this afternoon. So I'm going to wash this cast iron pan. Sean made some eggs in it this morning. As you can see, it's dirty. I try to use as hot of water as my hands can stand. If this, as you can see, is soapy, they say don't use soap on cast iron. I've never had an issue. I only do it while the water is running. I won't put soap on it unless the water's like actively rinsing it off as I'm putting soap on. So just give it a good scrub. Get anything on it off. So now it's all clean, but it needs to be dried. I turn the burner on about medium heat, and you can either just let it sit like this and it will eventually dry, but I don't want to sit here because everything else to clean the kitchen's done, so I just want to get this done. So I'm just going to take a kitchen towel. It might end up getting a little bit of stains on it, but I don't really care, and just give it dried out. So you can see there's still a little bit of what you want to get you want it to be completely dry. I don't find that using a tiny bit of soap on it hurts it, because I do this every time I wash them. I then put it on the stove, I get it completely dry, I take just a little bit of coconut oil, get just, especially for a pan this size, just a tiny bit on the end of a spoon, and I will put it on there. Because I don't want that coconut oil going down my sink, I just wipe it on the paper towel I'm about to use. So I take that paper towel, I just take the coconut oil and cover the entire inside of the pan. And if I've got a pan that doesn't have this enamel on the bottom, I'll look at the bottom, and if it looks like it might be starting to get a tiny bit rusty, I'll just take the paper towel, rub a little oil on the bottom too. And then you can feel that the pan's hot, which is good. I'll go ahead and turn the burner off and let it sit like this, and basically until it's cool. And then I will add it back to my stack of cast irons. So let's go ahead and wash some eggs. I'm gonna show you what I do. I've got my 2 baskets that are the oldest. I think some of these might be a little bit questionable. I'm not sure if they're all gonna be good. So what I do is I fill my sink up with basically room temperature water. It's not cold, but it's definitely not hot. So I'll go ahead and stop my sink up. I don't bother washing the sink before I do this because, you know, it's basically empty. So I just squirt of soap in there. The eggs are dirty, they're covered in poop. So I'll wash my sink after I wash the poopy eggs, not before. So put some soap in, about room temperature. So then I'm just going to start putting all of my eggs in. I'm not just going to dump them because they'll break. So the key to knowing if an egg is good is if it sinks, it's good, and if it floats, it's bad. And if it's bad, we'll put it in our compost pile. As you can see, most of the eggs are down at the bottom. There's several inches of water above them. I think this one might be floating. Yeah, so we've got, just kind of take my hand, and you can see these 2 are very clearly floating. Let's see if I can, you can see, they're for sure floating. So these 2 are bad, for sure. Let's see if there's any more floating. This one, is it floating? Nope, it's definitely sinking. So that's it. Just those 2 that were floating. Pretty good. You can see there, the rest are sinking down to the bottom. So those 2 eggs went into our compost pile. Now, I'm going to run water on the other side of the sink and just start to take eggs. And if they seem like they're extra dirty, they're not just coming clean, I'll put them back in the water, let them soak a little longer. So the eggs are nice and clean now, so I'm just going to let them dry here for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. Once they are washed, they do have to be refrigerated, so I can't just like leave them here all day. But I am going to let them get pretty much mostly dry here on the counter, and then I'll put them up in the fridge. So I just use this plastic egg carton for our eggs that we stick in our fridge. So I don't wash it every time, I'll just kind of shake it out, but we only put clean eggs in here, so it doesn't really get dirty. And as I'm picking up the egg, I'll just kind of give it a quick wipe if it's got like a couple drops of water on it still. So now we're restocked on eggs for, This is probably a couple dozen. This will probably last us a week. Because we do have chickens, we go through a lot more eggs than we did before we had chickens. So this will probably last us a week. If I'm trying to use them up, I could probably go through this in, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. I did make some chicken broth in my Instant Pot. I just put 2 entire chicken carcasses, their bones, their skin, if there was skin on it. There's a little bit of meat maybe. Just all in the Instant Pot, covered it with water, put a splash of organic apple cider vinegar. And it's basically just been cooking. This Instant Pot, it's not technically an Instant Pot, it's a Kasori pressure cooker. Will run for 4 hours at a time. So I've just been, as soon as it turns off, putting it on to cook for another 4 hours. So it's hot right now, it's been on keep warm, but this is for sure going to be gelatinous once it cools off, I'm sure. I poured this into this fat separator. What this basically does is the spout is down here, the fat rises to the top. Because the spout opens up at the bottom, when you pour out, it doesn't include the fat. And you can see there's a fat cap on the top. So you can pour it in, but none of that fat is down where the spout is. Testing to see if we can touch that without burning my hand. So what I'm going to do is put my carrot peels in this, and then I'll feed those to the rabbits. I'll take those out there to them this evening. So boys like carrots, so I don't really go by the rest of what the recipe says when it comes to carrots. I will just do a lot more than that. I probably don't want to cut on this because it's not level, but I can peel on it and you can see me. Okay. So I'm gonna peel carrots. Save the peels for the rabbies so they don't go to waste. The recipe calls for dried onion or onion powder. I have some fresh onions I'd rather just use up because they're about to turn, so I'm going to put a fresh onion in there. And I saved the carrot scraps for the rabbits. However, chickens and rabbits, and no one can have the onion peels. You could put them in a plastic bag in your freezer and add them to bone broth when you make bone broth. But I am just not going to do that. Maybe I'll get into that later, but I just put them in my compost, and I feel fine about that because it's building my soil so I can have a better garden. So I don't feel, I don't really feel guilty because I'm adding it to my compost. I'm gonna pour that fat to my Dutch oven. This recipe technically says that it's not enough oil, so I'm just gonna add some. Or not fat, so I'm gonna add some olive oil to cook the meat in here while the rice cooks. I just don't really want to do that. I think the meat will come out better if it's cooked separately and then cut up and added back in. So I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to add some salt. And a tiny bit of pepper, because my boys don't like pepper. Calls for dried minced onion. I just added fresh onion. dried minced garlic. Once this is almost done sauteing, I'll add fresh garlic and parsley flakes. That kind of sounds good. Let's see what I've got. Thinking I've had this poultry seasoning in my cabinet a while. It's got thyme, sage, marjoram, rosemary, black pepper, and nutmeg. I think I'm going to add that. Good dosing of that. I just need to use it up. So this feels like a good meal to do that with. This recipe says to use jasmine rice. I don't have any jasmine rice right now, so I'm just going to use a long grain white rice. So I could use the poultry seasoning again, but I'm not. I'm going to use up this Montreal chicken. I use this for everything, not just chicken, literally everything. I put it on pork chops, I mean like anything. I feel like I use this like at least once a day. I'll put it on eggs sometimes. It's just a good generic kind of seasoning. I'm thinking because this carrots and onion are going to cook with the rice, they don't need to be done all the way before I cook the rice in here. However, I do have small children that are going to be eating this, and I don't want the carrots to be undercooked once I add the rice, and it's going to be like pretty much impossible to keep cooking the carrots. When the rice is done, the carrots are just going to have to be done. So I'm going to let them cook a little longer than what the recipe says, just because I don't want to risk having my carrots not be cooked enough and having to feed it to my toddlers that way, or make something else for them, because I think that the circle carrots that aren't super tender might be choking hazards. Got my cast iron here. It's been heating up for a couple minutes. It feels pretty good, so I'm going to just add some good amount of olive oil in there. I need to buy more olive oil. What's in that jar is all I've got. Got my chicken here, seasoned. Just going to pop it down the seasoning side. This is really thin chicken, so I feel like I can really put them in there together. There we go. Okay, so we'll let those start cooking. Go ahead and add some more seasoning. The other side of these chicken breasts. Over here, we have our carrots and onions cooking away. Starting to get a little tender. I think I'm going to go ahead and add the garlic. I add garlic to almost everything, and when I add garlic, I just get like my big teaspoon. And everything that I cook gets a great big spoonful of garlic. So, a great big spoonful of garlic in there. Let that cook until I can start to smell the garlic, and then I will add the 2 cups of rice, and it says 8 cups of chicken broth. But now if I'm saying that out loud, that doesn't sound right. Is that right? 8 cups? 2 cups of rice, 8 cups of chicken broth. 1 cup to 2 cups. So in theory, it also is supposed to be cooking the chicken in there, but in theory, but that would release juice too, I would think. So, we'll just see. I mean, the vegetables are in there. They might. Will they soak up some of that juice? I don't know. We'll go with the recipe and see what happens. That's half a cup, 1 cup, 1.5 cups. We're just gonna go ahead and add the rest of that bag. Okay, let me go ahead and add my chicken broth since this is over here cooking with the rice in it. Oh goodness. Stir that up. see how the chicken breasts look. It's good. Tip with chicken breasts is if you go to flip it and it doesn't release from the pan, it's not done searing. So these ones didn't sear as well because all the oil was collecting over there. My stove's not even, so like all the oil goes to one. My stove is even, but the burners aren't, so all the oil collects on one side. So this one didn't get as good as a sear as this one, but it's okay. Bring to a boil, reduce heat, cover, and simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. So that's what we'll do. So one trick you can do, I just pulled out the chicken, it came up to temperature. As you can see, it's kind of cooking on over here. So I'm just gonna take a paper towel because I don't want this grease to go down my sink. So I'm gonna take a paper towel to soak most of the grease up. It's okay if there's a little bit. And the trick to getting this clean easier is I'm gonna put some water in here and turn it up on high. See how it's like, I'll just take this fork I was cooking the chicken with. And it's just gonna help, you know, like loosen all those bits up the same way if you're like, what's the term? Deglaze? No, what is it? I don't even think what it's called, but anyway. As you can see, that got all that off. So this can just go down the sink, and then I can wash it the same way that I showed you earlier how to clean cast iron. So our chicken is done cooking. It just came up to temperature, so I'm just going to chop it up, and we're gonna mix this in with our the rice mixture. So my rice is done cooking and the carrots are done cooking. It's kind of like what I was worried might happen. There's just too much juice in here. So trying to decide what I want to do. I'm considering mixing some cheese in here and seeing if that thickens it up some. It's a lot of rice in here for the amount of carrots and chicken. I've decided I'm gonna put some cheese in here. So start with what's left in that bag. Probably put more than that. I did turn this off, so it's, I mean, obviously very hot still, but the burner's not on. Before I add this chicken, I'm gonna go ahead and pull out some of this. Finley's getting into cabinets below me. Finley, no. It's really hot. Definitely taste the cheese in it. I think it tastes good, but I don't really want to add any more cheese than that in it. I'm gonna go ahead and put this chicken in here. I guess it'll just kind of be like a rice, chicken, carrot, more like a soup than a, I mean, it's not soupy because it's not like straight liquid like broth, but not exactly what I was going for, but I guess that's what I get for following the recipe when I knew it didn't sound right. I know there was a lot of things that I wanted to do in this video that I didn't get done, but I did get my kitchen extra good clean and make dinner, so I think we'll call that good, and we'll try to clean out the fridge next time. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope you have a blessed day, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys. You gonna wave? Say bye-bye.